The top stories tonight in Y News. The Department of Migrant Workers Secretary Susan Ople emphasizes that the topic on overseas Filipino workers is on top of their agenda when they go to Saudi Arabia, but the issue on back pay still remains under arrangement. The House Committee on Transportation raises concerns over faulty circuit breaker during the investigation on the air traffic management system issue. Announces a rate increase in January due to generation cost and the completion of distribution-related refund. And a new study by the United Nations reveals that the ozone layer is on track for recovery within just decades. Good evening, Philippines and the world. Today is Tuesday, January 10, 2023. Join us in the next hour as we deliver today's top stories around the Philippines and in other parts of the world. We are also seen in 1,935 satellite monitoring centers nationwide and via live streaming worldwide through the UNTV News and Rescue social media channels. I am William Theo. First in the news, the Department of Migrant Workers Secretary Susan Ople emphasized that the topic on overseas Filipino workers is on top of their agenda when they go to Saudi Arabia. But still, the issue on back pay remains under arrangement. Nel Maribuhok will tell us why.
The Department of Migrant Workers or DMW said their counterparts in Saudi Arabia have asked for more time to process the unpaid wages of overseas Filipino workers or OFWs there and so they could meet the right officials. In a palace briefing, DMW Secretary Susan Ople said she was supposed to go there in December of last year.
They requested for more time to arrange our visit dahil yung sa unpaid claims, hindi pala sa kanila yon nakaatang. So they wanted time for certain arrangements to be made so that when I go there, I will be able to meet with the right person in the office of the Crown Prince.
She is hoping that she will get the itinerary for the Saudi Arabia trip this week. Secretary Ople assured the OFWs, however, that the topic on their back wages is on top of their agenda. The DMW chief added that she wanted to be prudent in releasing more details about this for now, given that the issue is emotionally charged.
I want to be very cautious and prudent job na ang gusto ko pag nakausap ko na tsaka kami magre-release ng information.
The Saudi government last year agreed to pay the wages of OFWs who have yet to receive their salaries from bankrupt Saudi-based employers since 2015. Nel Maribuhok, UNTV News and Rescue, we serve the people, we give glory to God.
Department of National Defense spokesperson Director Arsenio Andulong confirmed that 7 to 9 assistant secretary and undersecretaries of the department have tendered resignation. This after the resignation of Defense Senior Undersecretary Jose Faustino Jr. Leah Ilagan will tell us why.
Department of National Defense spokesperson Director Arsenio Andulong clarified that there is no mass resignation in DND. Andulong said those who tendered their resignation are all co-terminus of Senior Undersecretary Jose Faustino Jr.
Yung kasi ay normal and procedural kasi pag may dumadating na bagong liderato, hindi lang sa DND, sa lahat ng kagawaran ng gobyerno, palaging nagtetender ng courtesy resignation ang mga coterminous appointees sa buong kagawaran.
Andulong added, 7 to 9 assistant secretary and undersecretary are among those who stepped down from their post.
Since may bago ng secretary ang DND, customary din and proper na magbigay ng courtesy resignation ang mga opisyal at ibang personnel ng DND.
Despite of this, Andulong ensured that operations remain normal and not affected by the sudden change of leadership. Faustino tendered his resignation after the appointment of Armed Forces of the Philippines Chief of Staff General Andres Centino. Leia Ilagan, UNTV, News and Rescue. We serve the people, we give glory to God.
The Commission on Elections, or COMELEC, disclosed they have yet to achieve their 1.5 to 2 million peso target new registrants this continuing voter registration. Dante Amento tells us why.
Commission on Elections, or COMELEC Chairman George Erwin Garcia, hopes that applicants will grab the remaining days of the continuing voter registration until January 31, 2023. Garcia stressed they are still far from their target of 1.5 million to 2 million registrants.
Hindi po ganun kadami ang nagpaparehistro. So far po hanggang kahapon, kulang-kulang 400,000 pa lamang ang nagpaparehistro natin ng ating mga kababayan. Sana po sa mga susunod pang araw, hanggang sa bago matapos ang buwan na ito, ay mas dumami pa ang magpaparehistro ng ating mga kababayan.
The poll body added they have no plan yet to extend the registration.
Ang COMELEC ay naninindigan na hanggang January 30 lang po tayo, 31 po tayo sa ating pong registration. Yan po yung ating pong pinag-usapan at yan din po yung aming pinag-desisyonan. Therefore, hanggang dyan lang po ang registration natin.
On January 14, the poll body will visit Kalayaan Island to personally urge residents to register. In the following days, they will also go to Sulu Province and Batanes. The Commission explained it is an obligation to register and to vote is a right. Dante Amento, UNTV, News and Rescue. We serve the people. We give glory to God.
The Commission on Elections, or COMELEC, will start printing the manual ballots for the 2023 Barangay and Sangguniang Kabataan Elections, or BSKE, on January 23, 2023. This time it has the new template or date, which is October 30, 2023, in accordance to the law signed by President Marcos Jr. Chairman Garcia said they would finish the printing next month. Meanwhile, Garcia explained in case the Supreme Court decides to conduct the elections earlier than October 30, those ballots will still be used.
October 30 na po ang nakalagay doon. Kung ano man po ang development na pwede mangyari, the COMELEC can just always issue a resolution na pwedeng sabihin na yung mga na-print nung una, bago yung mapospone ng eleksyon na dapat ay December 5, ayun na naka-reflect na date, ay pwede lang namin sabihin na pwedeng gamitin pa rin. Nangyari na po yan sa atin nung 2007 election.
Meanwhile, the House Committee on Transportation conducted an investigation on the air traffic management system issue. During the said hearing, lawmakers raised concern over the faulty circuit breaker. Eileen Cerudo will tell us why.
The Civil Aviation Authority of the Philippines, or CAAP, said there is still a possibility that a similar incident may happen. During the House probe on Monday, January 9, CAAP reported that the cause of the air traffic system fiasco was due to a faulty circuit breaker. This caused the uninterruptible power supply, or UPS, to go into standby mode, which triggered a delay of hundreds of flights on January 1. CAAP, however, assured that all operations are back to normal and the circuit breakers have already been replaced. The agency also procured 2 new UPS. Despite this, however, lawmakers raised concern over the quality of the circuit breaker.
Nakakatakot. It can happen anytime. I mean, how long yung circuit breaker na yan? And how often do you have to replace it? Because if you're telling us at all, the supplier, walang winarning sa atin, o pag meron kayong nakitang ganito, red flag na yan.
CAAP responded that the agency can only improve the maintenance and its personnel to ensure that a similar issue on the air traffic management system will not happen again. Meanwhile, CAAP will allot 139 million pesos for the upgrading of their equipment for this year. The Department of Transportation also called for an additional budget for the modernization of CAAP and other airports in the country.
We hope to highlight the critical need for technical and financial support in upgrading the facilities at CAAP, NAIA, and other regional airports.
Eileen Cerudo, UNTV News and Rescue. We serve the people, we give glory to God.
In other news, a measure was filed seeking to provide hazard and insurance pay for journalists. Las Piñas Representative Camille Villar has filed House Bill number 6543, which seeks to provide disability, health, and hospitalization benefits to all practicing journalists. Under the said bill, practicing journalists, including those who are contractual, will be entitled to insurance, hazard pay, and other benefits. Field journalists will also be entitled to disability benefits worth 300,000 pesos and reimbursement of medical costs worth 200,000 pesos. In a statement, the lawmakers said there is a need to safeguard the welfare of journalists, especially field reporters who face dangerous situations, in order to deliver the news to the public. The Department of Agriculture will implement stricter monitoring on the arrival of imported onions. Meanwhile, those dismayed on the decision of the government to import have been anticipating its impact to their harvest. Ray Pelayo will tell us why.
The Department of Agriculture, or DA, gave importers until January 27 for the arrival of imported onions. Earlier today, DA announced that President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. approved the importation of 21,060 metric tons of red and yellow onion. This is a little lower than the previously recommended volume of 22,000 metric tons. The measure is to address the inflation and stabilize the price of onion in the market.
Ang importante lang nito is pagdating sa mga pamilihan natin na mababa yung presyo pero dapat maingatan din yung cost of production ng farmers.
DA assured that the importation is calibrated and will not affect local farmers.
The result of this is yung onion price drives the inflation also. So kailangan we have to respond to this at saka yung sabi ko nga, factor in on the when and the volume of importation.
DA said that ports will be monitored up to the warehouses.
Nakalagay rin dito, mas stricto ang ating first border control ngayon. Ito yung sa puerto. And the second border control dun sa atin pong mga cold storages na kailangan nakarehistro na accredit po ng Department of Agriculture.
But the group of farmers doubted that they will not be affected. They noted that the current farm gate price of onion is decreasing and expecting lower in the next weeks. This is why importation is not necessary.
Yung alam ko, masyado na yung lungkot namin na nararamdaman kasi expect po namin ngayon na pag sumisit ang presyo ng sibuyas, baka hindi kami makapayad ng mga utang namin.
Ray Pelayo, UNTV News and Rescue. We serve the people. We give glory to God.
And for our news abroad, the United States is planning to supply nuclear submarines to Australia as part of the AUKUS partnership deal. However, some U.S. officials oppose this plan. Marvy Delfin tells us why live. Marvy?
Good evening, Kath. A letter obtained by digital magazine Breaking Defense from 2 U.S. senators was sent to President Joe Biden after plans were announced that the U.S. wishes to supply nuclear submarines to Australia. Senators Jack Reed and James Inhofe wrote to Biden that they were concerned on the pressure being put on the country's industrial bases and are against of any plans that would sell or transfer their scarce nuclear submarines to Australia. They added that Biden should continue the AUKUS negotiations to build a strong partnership while also considering the country's security. The U.S. is aiming to build its own fleet of 60 Virginia-class submarines. However, at the current rate, it is expected to be completed by 2052. Therefore, the senators urged Biden to focus on meeting the Navy's requirements before selling or transferring it to their allies. On the other hand, Australia's Defence Minister Richard Marles said in a conference that they are aware of the pressure being put and added that it is now more important for Australia to have its own industrial bases that are capable of building the submarines, as well as to strengthen its defence capabilities.
Australia is expected to buy at least 8 submarines from the US or United Kingdom and is expected to make the announcements in March. Kath? Thank you. Marvi Delfin reporting live from Australia. Due to a massive storm last week, more than 120,000 homes in California, USA are still experiencing power outages, according to data from poweroutage.us. Severe weather with violent winds gusting to 136 kilometers per hour or more toppled trucks, flooded the streets of small towns, and even destroyed a pier in Santa Cruz County. 12 fatalities have also been recorded in the past 10 days, according to California Governor Gavin Newsom. Most outages in the state is from utility company Pacific Gas and Electric Company, with 73,000 customers affected, followed by Sacramento Municipal Utility District at 50,000. According to weather forecasters from the National Weather Service, a relentless parade of cyclone will happen in northern and central California. Governor Newsom declared a state of emergency last week and warned the state's citizens that the worst of the storm is yet to come. We'll share more global stories with you later, but for now, back to you, William.
Yes, thank you, Kath. Morocco has announced that it will impose a rate increase this January due to generation cost and the end of refund. JP Nunez will tell us why.
An additional 62 centavos per kilowatt hour will be shouldered by Meralco consumers as early as January this year. This would translate to an additional 125 peso electric bill adjustment for a typical household consuming 200 kilowatt hour every month. 187 pesos for those consuming 300 kilowatt hour, 243 pesos for those consuming 400 kilowatt hour, and 309 pesos for those consuming 500 kilowatt hour in a month. Meralco said among other reasons are the use of more expensive fuel by independent power producers or IPPs, the increase of charge from the wholesale electricity spot market or WESM, the completion of distribution-related refund, and the cessation of agreement from San Miguel Corporation last December.
Isang malaking nag-influence sa pag-adjust upwards yung paggamit ng first gas ng more expensive liquid fuel. So yung isang first gas plant that contributes almost 1/4 of Meralco supply had to use more expensive liquid fuel because of inadequate supply of malampay natural gas. So yun, it put pressure on the generation charge to go up.
For its consumers, the 3-month consecutive power rate hike since November last year has been causing burden to them.
Grabe, ang laki na nga ng binabayaran ko, tapos tataas pa ulit. Paano na yan? Paano namin bababayaran? Mahirap, syempre. Dagdag bill pa yan, dagdag gastos pa. Sabay pa sa lahat, dahil tubig, ilaw, pagkain, konsumo lahat.
Medyo mabigat ang pasanin natin niya pagka umakit na naman ulit yung kuryente. Talaga mahirap. Kasi unang-una, sa halip na pambili mo na ng bigas yun, tapos idadagdag mo naman doon sa kuryente.
Meralco is advising its consumers to practice energy efficiency and observe electrical safety. Some power-saving tips that customers can practice are unplugging appliances when not in use, refraining overfilling their refrigerators, regular cleaning of air conditioner filters, and using cost-saving lightings such as LED bulbs. JP Nunez, UNTV, News and Rescue. We serve the people, we give glory to God.
The Department of Health projects that COVID-19 cases in the country will reach 730 by February. Gladys Tawabi tells us why.
Once compliance to minimum public health standards decline and COVID-19 variants will enter the country, the Department of Health or DOH sees a projection of 730 COVID-19 cases by the month of February.
Meron tayong projections ngayon that our cases by February 15, if ever minimum public health standards to decline, tapos tuloy-tuloy ang pasok ng mga variants na highly evasive and highly transmissible, we would see up hanggang mga 730 cases by February 15.
However, DOH officer in charge Undersecretary Maria Rosario Vergere clarifies that this is just an estimation to prepare the agency's health units, hospitals, and surveillance system. To date, active cases in the country have reached 12,267. The health department will continue to monitor and check whether the holiday season has affected the recorded cases in the country. Meanwhile, DOH is yet to complete the guidelines for bivalent vaccine.
So ito po lahat ay pinag-aaralan ng ating mga legal officers para alam natin what would be the most appropriate means of procurement based on law in the country na pwede natin tahakin that will not cause delays and we can still expedite the procurement of this bivalent vaccine.
Vergere assures that bivalent vaccine implementation is based on science and evidence. Gladys Tuwabi, UNTV News and Rescue. We serve the people, we give glory to God.
The Bureau of Immigration, or BI, announced on Tuesday, January 10, the recent arrest of a wanted Belarus national for rape of a Filipina. Commissioner Norman Tansinko told that BI officers have apprehended the suspect, identified as Alyaksey Rudaku, 31 years of age, at the Ninoy Aquino International Airport or NAIA Terminal 3 last January 5. After the arrest, the foreigner was immediately turned over to the Philippine National Police, or PNP, for his detention while waiting for the resolution of his rape case. Rudaku, who carried the alias Ali and Alyak, has been indicted by prosecutors of the Bacoor City Regional Trial Court in November 2022 on charges of rape with sexual assault that resulted to the issuance of a warrant of arrest. BI's immigration personnel have been directed to turn over the suspect to law enforcement authorities once encountered at the airport after he was placed on immigration alert list ordered by the Board of Commissioners on December 15, 2022. Tansinko stressed that they immediately include in their system warrants issued by courts, and all wanted criminals who have a pending warrant of arrest are being turned over to the proper authorities once intercepted at any port in the country, as they have close coordination with local law enforcement agencies. Different government agencies will work together to conduct SIM registration in geographically isolated and disadvantaged areas. According to Department of Interior and Local Government Attorney Margarita Gutierrez, they will announce to the public the schedule for registration of SIMs in those areas. Meanwhile, Department of Information and Communications Technology warned perpetrators of fraudulent activity amid SIM registration. Bernadette Pinoy will tell us why.
The implementation of SIM registration on areas that are geographically isolated will further be discussed by Department of Interior and Local Government, or DILG, and other related agencies. According to DILG Undersecretary Attorney Margarita Gutierrez, the establishment of registration facilities in geographically isolated and disadvantaged areas, or GIDAs, is crucial as the government needs the strong coordination and connection in those sites.
So magkakaroon kami ng establishment ng registration facility sa mga GIDA sites po na ito. We need to coordinate po with the PTEs kasi sila ho yung tutulong sa amin in terms of manpower ho sa pag-establish ng mga connection sites po sa areas nito.
Meanwhile, Department of Information and Communications Technology, or DICT, warned individuals who plan to commit fraud amid SIM registration. DICT Undersecretary Ana May Lamentillo, the warning are for those who will put fake IDs to register and stolen SIM card.
Gusto po naming bigyan ng babala yung mga gusto pong gumamit ng sistema na bawal po ito. Na kunwari kung magnanakaw po kayo ng stolen SIM card, yan po ay labag sa batas. Kung kayo po ay mag-register gamit ang isang fake ID, yan po ay labag sa batas.
Lamentillo then added that those who will commit this act can be fined or imprisoned.
Hindi lang po fine ang parusa dyan, may kasama po yung kulong. Kapag po kayo naman po ay nasa other side, kung kayo po ay staff ng mga telco at ibenta nyo po yung information na nakuha nyo gamit po itong SIM registration, meron po tayong crime na
As of January 10, there are 16,150,926 registered SIM cards in the country, 7,137,764 for Globe Telecommunication, 7,584,321 for Smart Communication, and 1,428,841 for Dito. This is 9% of 168,977,773 total number of SIM card subscribers. The ICT then encouraged the public to register their SIM within the span of 180 days until April 26. This is to avoid future case of text scams and phishing. Bernadette Tinoy, UNTV News and Rescue. We serve the people, we give glory to God.
A new study by United Nations reveals that the ozone layer is on track for recovery within just decades. Serbisyong Bayanihan will tell us why live. Yes, Cherise?
Good evening, Kath. The United Nations or UN reports that the ozone layer could be restored to how it was before a gaping hole formed in the 1980s as a result of an internal agreement to stop the use of harmful chemicals. The agreement, also known as the Montreal Protocol, involved 46 countries phasing out the production and consumption of ozone-depleting substances since 1987. According to the report co-produced by UN, United States, and European Union agencies, if current policies are maintained, the ozone layer over the Antarctic, where ozone depletion was the worst, can be restored by 2066, 2045 over the Arctic, and around 2 decades for everywhere else. The report also suggests that saving the ozone layer has had a positive effect on global warming due to the phase-out of some greenhouse gases, preventing up to 1 degree Celsius of warming by 2050. However, there is a warning that certain events and strategies to limit global warming, such as sending millions of tons of sulfur dioxide into the upper atmosphere, could reverse the ozone layer's recovery. Back to you, Kath.
Thank you, Serbisyong Bayanihan, reporting live from Japan. Brazilian authorities arrested thousands of ex-President Jair Bolsonaro's supporters after they stormed government buildings in the capital, Brasilia. Nerissa Dando tells us why live. Nerissa?
Good evening, Kath. About 1,500 supporters of ex-President Jair Bolsonaro were held captive after they threw rocks at the presidential palace and shattered almost all of its windows. Protesters are still angry about Bolsonaro's defeat. Some even wanted the new president, Luiz Inácio Lula da Silva, to go back to jail. Rioters also stormed the Supreme Court and the Congress, where the damages included valuable works of art that were reportedly damaged by water or defaced during the riot. President Lula was forced to declare emergency powers just a week after he was sworn in. Lula and other top officials condemned the terrorist act and vowed to punish the perpetrators. Some 40 buses used to transport protesters had also been seized, according to Justice Minister Flavio Dino. Meanwhile, ex-President Jair Bolsonaro, who has not accepted the defeat over a tight presidential election last year, has denied responsibility for Brazil's Sunday's riot. In a Twitter post just hours after the violence broke out, he said that peaceful demonstrations are part of democracy but condemned attacks and invasions of public buildings. Back to you, Kat.
Thank you, Nerissa Dando, for that live report. The Philippine Consulate General in New York, USA, shared support on Tuesday, January 10, for the call for better wages and working conditions of Filipino-American nurses employed in 2 hospitals in the country. This statement came after contract negotiations of nurses employed at Montefiore Medical Center in the Bronx and Mount Sinai Hospital in Manhattan have been stalled over better pay and improved staffing standards that urged them to go on strike on January 9, New York time. The consulate emphasized that the call of Filipino-American nurses for better employment terms and conditions should be heeded, for their compassion, dedication, and selflessness were expressed, and they stayed true to their oath to take care for the sick and the dying when New York City became the epicenter of the pandemic in the spring of 2020. They hope that the parties involved would soon have a mutually acceptable resolution to the strike, and that all dispute resolution avenues be exhausted to ensure the health care of New Yorkers. New York State Nurses Association, or NYSNA President Nancy Hagan, said in a previous statement that the main issue is the crisis of chronic understaffing that harms patient care. She added that they are fighting to improve patient care and will do whatever it takes to settle fair contracts that help nurses deliver the care that all New Yorkers deserve. And those are the reasons behind the news in other parts of the globe. I'm Kat Maraos, live from Bangkok, Thailand. Good evening.
Our kasangbahay, as the world faces these trying times amid the pandemic caused by coronavirus, we are inviting everyone to join the global prayer for humanity.
Good day. I'm Brother Eli Soriano of the members of the Church of God International. I want to invite you to join us in a minute of prayer every day to pray for humanity and the whole world as we go through these perilous times. While safety measures like washing of hands and strengthening of our immune systems may help us through this horrible predicament, there is still no precaution or cure more powerful than God's mighty intervention. And we need His intervention now more than ever. It doesn't matter what religion you are in or what denomination you belong. This is an invitation for all the people around the world who cares for the future of their family, friends, loved ones, and humanity as a whole. Everybody is welcome to pray with us. For more details, you can check out the description box below. Thank you very much, and I hope to hear from you soon. May God bless you.
And before we close, we will leave you with the word giving glory to God from the book of Proverbs chapter 28 verse 9. It says, "He that turneth away his ear from hearing the law, even his prayer shall be abomination." And those are the reasons behind the news, January 10, 2023. Reasons we deliver to you as they unfold. Because we need to know, we will always ask why. I am William Theo. We serve the people. We give glory to God.